making and acquire skills in diverse real-world context. We do this
Using 9 chapters, it's layered with real stories and insights from our dedicated Ekya educators. In a world where the belief is that anyone who has been taught can teach prevails, this book challenges.
Not had the courage to dance and may have left midway.
Thank you for walking into class with a beautiful radiant smile every morning. Thank you for reading every word of our essays and giving.
Check, check, check. Hello, hi, check.
morning, everyone. A warm welcome to all of you present here. We are waiting for our guests to arrive. Please keep your phones on silent mode. request all of you to be seated. All right. And your mobile phones on silent mode, please. Let's welcome our dignitaries to join us on stage with a warm round of applause. Our dignitaries to join us on stage with a warm round of applause. Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Honorable Minister of State for Skills Development and Entrepreneurship and Electronic and Information Technology, Government of India and Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. Dr. A.S. Kiran Kumar, former Chairman, ISRO, Chairperson, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. Dr. K.P. Gopalakrishna, Founder and Chairman of National Public Schools, National Academy for Learning, and the International School, Bangalore. Dr. K.C. Ramamurthy, IPS, retired, Chairman, CMR Group of Institutions, and former Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. Dr. Savita Ramamurthy, President of CMR Gnanadhara Trust and Chancellor of CMR University. Shri K.R. Jaydeep, CEO, Pro-Chancellor, CMR University, and Dr. Trista Ramamurthy, founder of Ekya Schools. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, educators, students, and parents. The Fine Festival is a unique platform where students, educators, and passionate individuals from fields of education come together to share their experiences, insights, and ideas that will help shape the future of education. Our journey today will be filled with immersive experiences, inspiring conversations, and incredible showcases. We begin today's program by lighting the lamp, a symbol of illumination, along with invocation song sung by Ekya School JP Nagar students.
विश्वाधिपते विद्याधिपते निर्विघ्नाधिपते विजय गणपते विश्वाधिपते विद्याधिपते निर्विघ्नाधिपते विजय गणपते विश्वाधिपते सुरनर पूजित हर शंकर सुत पनि सरि sa re sa ga re pa ga ni pa re ni ga sa ni sa re ga sa pa ni sa re ni ga pa ni sa pa ga ga ri sa pa pa ga ri ni pa ga ri ga pa ni Vishwadhipate Vidyadhipate Nirvignadhipate Vijaya Ganapate Vishwadhipate.
Thank you, students, for the beautiful rendition. It is now our pleasure to welcome Dr. K.C. Ramamurthy, Chairman of CMR Group of Institutions and former Member of Parliament Rajya Sabha, to deliver the welcome address.
Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji, Honorable Minister, Government of India, Shri Kiran Kumar ji, former Chairman ISRO and Chairperson Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, our mentor, guide, Dr. K.P. Gopalakrishna, founder and Chairman National Public Schools, TASB, NAFL, Dr. Sabita Ramamurthy, President CMR Jnanadhara Trust and Chancellor CMR University, Shri K.R. Jaideep, Pro-Chancellor CMR University and Director Ekya Schools, Dr. Trista, Vice President CMR Group of Institutions, Founder Ekya Schools and Pro-Host CMR University, distinguished invitees, heads of institutions, members of teaching fraternity, representatives of print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, it gives me immense pleasure to have all of you here to be part of an initiative taken by Ekya Schools in an attempt to transform K-12 education space through the collaborative efforts of educators and industry experts. In today's fine festival, we have around 20 reputed schools with more than 35 teams participating. They will be active part of design thinking challenge and insightful discussions. At the heart of the Ekya Fine Festival 2023, the tagline is World of Learning, Learners and Extraordinary Educators. This tagline encapsulates the essence of the festival, emphasizing its commitment to exploring and celebrating the boundless possibilities within education. It signifies a world where learning is a dynamic journey, learners are passionate explorers, and educators are catalysts of extraordinary change. Through this tagline, the festival envisions a community united by the shared goal of unlocking human potential through transformative education experiences. Today we also are formally introducing a thematic school, Ekya Nava, to engage students to discover and connect with their purpose and passion. A school of innovation, creativity and design which is aimed at preparing students through IGCSE stream. To make all this happen, we requested the presence of Honorable Minister Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Dr. Kiran Kumar and Dr. K.P. Gopalakrishna. We are grateful for their presence. Honorable Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar is a man on a mission, a former Silicon Valley chip designer, technocrat, successful entrepreneur, and now a minister with the Government of India. He is bringing to life the vision led by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, using technology to transform lives and creating a digital world that is safe and trusted for all digital Nagariks. He is a strong advocate for young India, a young India that he believes will play a pivotal role in making a new India. I had the privilege of associating with him in the Parliament for 6 long years, and every time I met him, I was getting educated on one topic or the other. He has always been a source of inspiration, support and strength in discharging my responsibilities as Member of Parliament. He is one of the senior most members of Parliament with high integrity and values imbibed in him. Honorable Prime Minister has rightly selected him to be part of transforming India to a $5 trillion economy. There are innumerable achievements and success stories connected to Sri Rajiv Chandrasekhar and his career. He is part of the growth and development of this great country presently under Sri Narendra Modi ji. On behalf of everyone present here and on my own behalf, I extend a very hearty welcome to Sri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, and I request our Pro-Chancellor Sri K.R. Jaideep to felicitate Sri Raju Chandrasekhar with a small memento and a bouquet. We have in our midst Dr. A.S. Kiran Kumar, one of the most distinguished space scientists of our country. He was the chairman of ISRO and currently chairperson Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. He has led the design and development of more than 50 electro-optical imaging sensors flown on various spaceborne platforms from Bhaskara in 1979. Further, his role in the success of Chandrayaan-1 mission and Mars Orbiter mission has been significant. Sri Kiran Kumar has been the chair of the Committee on Earth Observation Satellites in 2012. He has made valuable contributions to the coordination group of meteorological satellites, expert team on satellite systems, World Meteorological Organizations, and Indo-US Joint Working Group on Civil Space Cooperation. Sri Kiran Kumar is a Fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineering, National Academy of Sciences India, Indian Society of Remote Sensing, Institute of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers, Indian Society of Systems for Science and Engineering, Indian Meteorological Society, Indian Society of Geomatics, Gujarat Science Academy, Andhra Pradesh Academy of Sciences, and an elected member of International Academy of Astronautics. He has been confirmed with honoris causa and Doctor of Science by 18 Indian academic institutions and many abroad. He has co-authored 85 publications in various national and international scientific journals, conferences, and symposiums. In recognition of his contribution, he was already confirmed Padma Shri by the President of India in 2014. We are grateful to him for having accepted our invitation to release the book, Creating Extraordinary Educators, a Teacher's Roadmap to Becoming Extraordinary, published by Scholastic India. On behalf of everyone present here and on my own behalf, I extend a very hearty welcome to Dr. A.S. Kiran Kumar, and I request Jaideep to felicitate him with a small memento and a bouquet. Dr. K.P. Gopal Krishna, Doyen of Education, has always been a source of strength and support in all our activities. CMR group of institutions, CMR University, and various schools under Ekya and CMR have achieved any recognition, it is only because of the constant support and guidance we have received from our mentor, Dr. K.P. Gopal Krishna and Dr. Shantama Gopal Krishna. Dr. Gopal Krishna has not only been a great source of encouragement, but at every stage of our growth, all the issues have been personally handled by him and has guided us towards success. His presence today is a great blessing for us. Everyone present in the auditorium are aware of Dr. K.P. Gopal Krishna's single-handed effort in building quality education in the entire country. The TASB he has founded has become a model for hundreds of schools around the country and abroad. As a member of the CBSE board, he has immensely contributed in improving the quality of education in the entire country and is greatly acknowledged and appreciated in the entire academia and scholastic sector. I take this opportunity to heartily welcome Dr. K.P. Gopal Krishna and request Jaideep to felicitate Dr. Gopal Krishna with a small memento and a bouquet. It's my privilege to welcome all the distinguished panelists, Mr. Akshay Saxena, co-CEO and co-founder of Avanti Fellows, Dr. Bindu Hari, Director of the International School of Bangalore and the Vice Chairperson of National Public Schools, Mr. Makin Maheshwari, founder and CEO of Udyam Learning Foundation, Aziz Gupta, social entrepreneur and co-founder of Rocket Learning, and our advisors for Ekya and Nava, Vikram Vaidyanathan, Managing Director, Matrix Partners India, and Dr. Nandlal Sharda, Professor retired, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT, Mumbai. I take this opportunity to welcome all the dignitaries who are here on our invitation, our Vice Chancellor, the Pro Vice Chancellor, Deans and Directors of CMR University, Principal and staff of CMR Institute of Technology, members of the teaching fraternity from different schools, parents, members of the print and electronic media, and all others who are here on our invitation. I am sure this festival of innovation, design, thinking, and celebrating education will be highly educative for all of us. Thank you very much and welcome again.
Thank you, sir, for setting the stage for a fantastic day of learning and innovation. It is our pleasure to welcome Dr. Trista Ramamurthy, founder of Ekya Schools and Provost, CMR University, to deliver the opening remarks for the Fine Festival.
Good morning, respected dignitaries on stage, staff, students, parents, education leaders, and special guests present here. A warm welcome to Ekya Schools Fine Festival. This annual event is designed to bring the world of learning, learners, and extraordinary educators together. In the coming years, the Fine Festival will be a platform to draw attention to the practices that allow schools and educators to support children every single day. For over 12 years, Ekya has been committed to building schools and school systems of the future. And it is for this reason I'm thrilled to stand before you to announce India's first of its kind, kindergarten to grade 12, School of Innovation and Creativity and Design in Bangalore. Ekya Nava's goal is to empower future generations of thinkers, innovators, doers, and change makers. In addition to furthering the core academic curriculum, the Ekya Nava education system enhances student learning by creating a hands-on environment where creativity and imagination are emphasized. Further to the Cambridge IGCSE program, Nava's dynamic curriculum goes beyond conventional boundaries. Every learning experience is designed to encourage our students to inquire, reflect, connect, collaborate, create, and care through 4 strategic pathways. The design pathway goes beyond aesthetics, imparting to students the importance of designing with empathy, covering strands such as craft and artisanal design, communication design, and industrial design. Students in the information technology and society pathway will cover strands such as computing systems, data analysis, networks, algorithms, coding, robotics, AI. The innovation and entrepreneurship pathway fosters creativity and entrepreneurial spirit, where students delve into design thinking, business principles, and ethical practice, preparing them to innovate and succeed in a progressive world. The making pathway is exciting and nurtures students' creative potential through hands-on making to transform ideas into tangible projects. In beautiful, custom-built 6,000 square foot of open labs for hands-on exploration, students work with a range of tools, processes, and materials to give structure to their ideas and creations. Our approach empowers students to go beyond and acquire skills in diverse real-world context. We do this through opportunities such as deep dives, masterclasses, sprints, studio-based learning, expert talks, and outbounds. The new Ekya Nava campus features state-of-the-art facilities, including cascading atriums, maker labs, design labs, cutting-edge technology spaces, purpose-designed classrooms, 15,000 square foot sports arena, multimedia assembly space, STEM museum, dining ambience, and libraries. The facade is designed in a working machine aesthetic with a space frame system having an infill combination of billboards, LED screens, vertical gardens, and wind mobiles. This is a testament to the future of school design. Most importantly, what truly sets Ekya Nava apart are the advisors, partnering to guide our students and staff. With the help of these generous pioneers and other mentors, we aim to give students the sandbox to experiment, play, fail, build, and thrive. Our goal at Ekya is to create schools where students of all ages can discover and live their life's purpose and passion. To do this, we want to shift the learning paradigm with Ekya Nava. We believe that there is no better place to launch a school like this than a city like Bangalore and a country like India. We aim to help the students of today to create the future by going beyond the expected, beyond the conventional, and beyond the status quo. I thank you all for your support, and we look forward to your contributions to shaping a better world with Ekya Nava.
At Ekya Schools, we believe in a world beyond boundaries, where education should continuously evolve and adapt as the world changes. So imagine a school that goes beyond the core curriculum. Introducing Ekya Nava, the school that offers students a chance to uncover their purpose and passion. The school that invigorates and energizes learning to go beyond the expected. Ekya Nava is designed with purpose. A K-12 school with unique labs, workshops and classrooms arranged around an open concept. With learning opportunities such as deep dives, studio-based learning, art and design sprints, and masterclasses. A school that fosters interaction and collaboration. A school that builds confidence and community. To go beyond the conventional. Ekya Nava students learn by making and doing. An education based on creativity, design, and innovation. An education guided by visionary educators and industry advisors. An education based on critical thinking and deep learning. We believe every student can go beyond. Creating the next generation of makers, problem solvers, product leaders, and change agents. India's first K-12 school of innovation, creativity and design. Ekya Nava. Let's go beyond.
Thank you, Dr. Trista. We would like to invite Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, our Honorable Minister of State for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and Electronics and Information Technology, to officially unveil the model of Ekya Nava campus. Request our chairman, sir, to accompany him, please. Thank you, sir. We request Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar to address the gathering.
My dear friend K.C. Ramamurthy ji, my colleague in Parliament and otherwise a great source of friendship and inspiration as well. Dr. Kiran Kumar, Dr. Gopal Krishna, Sabita Ramamurthy ji, Trishta Ramamurthy ji, Jaideep, and to the students here, to the educators, parents, and all those who are attending this program, my warm welcome. Good morning, namaskar. First of all, let me just say it's a privilege and an honor to be invited to speak here at this very unique festival, the Fine Festival, and to be made aware of the desire to focus on extraordinary education, extraordinary teaching, And I will certainly in the next 5 to 10 minutes lay out why this is so important in the overall scheme of things as a country, as a people, as we chart our course as a nation after many, many years of independence to a very clear direction of emerging as a developed country in the next few years, in a country that is sitting around the round table of the top nations of the world as the third largest economy of the world. Let me start by just telling, especially the young audience, the younger audience in the group here today, and those who will hear about this program and experience this festival, that I will say this to you with great confidence and without any risk of being contradicted, that as a nation, as a people, as Indians, we are at an inflection point after 75 years of our independence. This is the most exciting period in the history of modern India. This is the most exciting period that we are living in terms of how we see our future and where our future will be. Just look at the last few weeks in the lives, or at least look at it from my perspective. A few weeks ago, we became the 4th country in the world to land on the moon with the Chandrayaan 3. I congratulated Dr. Kiran Kumar for his pioneering work and all of those who succeeded him. So on one particular day, we have a headline that we become the first nation to land on the south pole of the moon. Then a few days later, India launches a probe headed to the sun. As if the moon wasn't big enough for us to reach, we've sent a probe to the sun, the Aditya L1, and a series of tests to mark a manned mission with the Gaganyaan spacecraft. Just a few weeks before that, we just concluded the most epic G20 presidency ever in the history of G20 under India's presidency of the G20. The world recognized and embraced unilaterally and with absolute total consensus India's approach to digitization of the world, digitization and making technology available to all peoples of the world through the DPI, the India Stack. A few days later, we inaugurate the first ever parliament building in the history of independent India. That itself gave me goosebumps. Then 2 days after that, the same parliament building passes an historic women's reservation bill that will change the lives and the future in terms of opportunities for every young girl and every young woman of India. And if that wasn't all good enough and that was all not exciting enough to be packed into a 30-day frame, 2 days after the women's reservation bill, the iPhone 15, globally launched around the world. Consumers go to their shop in New York, Sydney. At the same time, for the first time, consumers in India get the same iPhone product at the same time as the consumers around the world. The difference being the iPhone 15 that Indian consumers get was made in India, and the consumers in New York and Sydney get is made in China. And if that was not exciting enough, and that was not enough action packed into 1 month, 2 days after that, I fly to Ahmedabad and do the groundbreaking ceremony of a $3 billion plant to make semiconductor memory chips and memory modules by one of the world's largest memory semiconductor companies called Micron in Dholera in Gujarat. Something that we have never done in the last 75 years, we have done. So this is the point, these are points I'm using to explain to you why we are living in the most exciting period in the history of India. And just 2 days ago, I was in UK at the AI Safety Summit hosted by the government of the United Kingdom and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. And the concepts and values that our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has talked about the internet and tech in general 2 years ago, about safety and trust being important. Those are values now that are being embraced by the UK, Europe, the US, and this AI Safety Summit echoed exactly what India has been saying for the last 2 to 3 years. So these are the exciting times we are living in. In 2014, I never stopped saying this, and I want to just share with you, this is my 72nd university campus, college campus visit in the last 2 years. And I have the tremendous privilege and honor of meeting so many young students from all across the country. And when they ask me, why do you say this is some new India? What is so great about this new India? Because I don't remember the old India. I lay out some examples for them. First example I use is, I don't know how many of you are aware, in 2014, 82% of all mobile phones used in India were imported. And there was absolutely no exports, obviously, because we were importing everything. And today in 2023, 100% of all the mobile phones that we consume in India are made in India. And last year alone, made in India Apple phones, made in India Samsung phones, 1 lakh crores were exported from India. That is the journey, that is the distance we have traveled. In the past, the government of India was seen as this dysfunctional body that held back Indians. That was a hurdle to the ambitions and aspiration of Indians all over the country. And famously, in the late 80s, there was a Prime Minister of India who said, if 100 rupees leaves Delhi for the benefit of our citizen, only 15 rupees reaches because of all the levels of intermediation, leakage, and corruption. And today, what do we have? When 100 rupees leaves Delhi, or indeed any state capital, 100 rupees reaches the citizen's account directly, without any intermediation, without any delay, without any leakage. Power of technology and power of intent. What was it earlier in the days when Dr. Kiran Kumar and me were students, like you in a college, dreaming about a future? Opportunities were limited. You either had to have a famous last name, or you had to have a godfather. And even in that you could either get into the government, or you could get into 3 or 4 large Indian companies, the Birlas, the Tatas, the ABCDFG. And if you were not lucky enough to get into both those, and you had a struggling father, which in my case I had, you take some money from him, borrow, and then go abroad and study. These are broadly the 3 or 4 opportunities we had in those days. And today, what do you have? You have hundreds and thousands of opportunities as a young Indian today. 100,000 startups have been created in this country, and 110 unicorns have been built in this country. No famous last name, no godfather. They have raised the capital, built the innovation, built their companies, and created success on their own. That is the journey that we have traveled. This is the new India. The other thing that I try to remind our young students today is, in the days of your parents and your grandparents, the narrative was, India is a poor country. We can't fend for ourselves in defense. We can't build infrastructure. We can never create the world-class facilities for our students and our youngsters because we are a poor country. What are we today? We are the fastest growing economy in the world. Our tax collections year on year exceed targets by 25 to 30%. We are spending the highest amount of any country in the world in building world-class infrastructure with 13 lakh crores this year. We have modernized our armed forces, spent the money that is required to build infrastructure, security, and opportunities for our youngsters. India was never a poor country. India was only a country that was governed by a poor mindset. And therefore, this is the new India, this is the journey, this is the India that you are today students in. And it is in that context that I say that education, this type of extraordinary education, I like the word extraordinary education, reimagining education is absolutely core to realizing the possibilities and opportunities that we have for the next 5 years and 10 years. And I'll quote Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. He said, and I quote, "It is education that has the power to change the destiny of this country. Education has an important role in achieving the target with which the country is moving forward, and the youth are representatives of this." So first of all, I congratulate the team here, headed of course by my friend. So part of that congratulation is for myself because I'm his friend, for doing this excellent and really thinking beyond the horizon. It is absolutely clear, and I say this as somebody who's deeply passionate about education and skilling, because that is the other portfolio I have skilling, that the opportunities in front of the young Indians today, the youth in India today, are just infinite. There are so many opportunities. But what is certainly required to make those opportunities real, to realize the potential of those opportunities, and to do well and to build your own future aligned to those opportunities, is the ability to have skills and capabilities to pursue those opportunities. The time and the place for rote education, just a degree or just a high school certificate, is long over. That is why the national education policy that the government and the Honorable Prime Minister has put forth is a policy that stresses on vocational and skilling during the school period itself. And I want to share one statistic with you to compare the old India and the new India. I don't know how many of you as educators or how many of you as parents are aware. In 2014, out of the 42 crore workforce in India, 420 million people working, going to work in the morning and coming back home to look after themselves and their families. 31 crore Indians, 310 million Indians, had no formal education, had no skills. After 70 years of independence, that was a legacy. That education and skilling had become the purview of the elite, that skills were not available. 3 out of every 4 Indians were forced to work without skills, and every year of 1.5 crores, 15 million Indians joined the workforce without skills. This is what was the status in 2014. And today, we are trying hard to make up for that big deficit by making sure, A, the national education policy at the school level itself, skilling and vocational training and experiential learning become the norm rather than the exception. And then those outside the schooling system who are today without skills are given access to skills at the cheapest and lowest possible manner and a broadest spectrum of skills as possible. I can go on and on about this, but I will pause here and certainly say that the time for extraordinary education, for reimagined education, for extraordinary educators to be the catalyst for creating a whole new generation of students that are confident and capable and are going to be, in a sense, the ambassadors of the progress and prosperity that our country aspires to in the coming years, in the decade that our Honorable Prime Minister refers to as the India decade. The time has come, and I'm certainly glad that the team here has taken the leadership for this and has shown the absolute creative initiative to reimagine education, to redraw the boundaries of what our youngsters should be able to access. I will add one word, that as we create skills and as we create capabilities and as we create confidence in our students, we must also focus as much on curriculum that deals with civic duties as a citizen, as a future citizen, history and culture and tradition, that they should never forget who they are as Indians, as Kannadigas, as from whichever region you come from, but that walking hand in hand in lock sync with all of these modern skills and exposure to modern techniques is certainly the way to go for us and for the youth of this country and for the students of today and the students of tomorrow. Thank you for your patient listen. Thank you for inviting me. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your insight. A gentle reminder to the audience to please switch your phones to silent mode. We are thrilled to present Creating Extraordinary Educators, a teacher's roadmap to becoming extraordinary. This book is a profound endeavor to elevate the teaching profession and inspiring aspiring educators to reach new heights. Comprising 9 chapters, it is layered with real stories and insights from our dedicated Ekya educators. In a world where a belief that everyone who has been taught can teach prevails, this book challenges the status quo and dwells into what it truly takes to be an exceptional educator. We would like to invite Dr. A.S. Kiran Kumar, former chairman of ISRO and chairperson of Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, to release the book, which is a culmination of knowledge and creativity. We would like to invite Dr. A.S. Kiran Kumar to address the gathering.
Good morning to all of you. Respected Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji, Shri Ramurthy ji, and all the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. It's indeed a great privilege and honor to be present here today on this occasion where Ekya Schools is going to create a new scenario, change the way education at various levels is going to happen. Today, if you look at education in a vast, quickly changing society, where technology is making rapid strides. Today you are seeing India is already, as Dr. Chandrasekhar mentioned, has landed on the moon, and the government of India has already set targets by 2040. An Indian should land on the moon and space station by 2035. Now what this particular target setting implies that for the young generation here, there's a roadmap of dealing with all aspects of life, even beyond Earth. Life on Earth, of course, is what we have always been told in the heritage of this country. Human life depends not only on sustaining itself, but for it to happen, it needs to respect all other life forms and also nature. That is what has been drilled into the heritage of this country. But as the technology evolution happened, this got lost sight. And also, when we were under years of subjugation, the system that existed here of educating individuals to learn to live with and face life got in many ways destroyed. Today, if that process has to come back, it is only when people realize that the basic purpose of education is to make every individual aware of the self, what capabilities that he or she has, and how to make use of it in the course of their lives. It got changed by years of external education system. It took almost, you can say, three generations for it to wear out. But today you are seeing the seeds of change, and I am seeing in this Creating Extraordinary Educators, the attempt that is being made is telling the educators what is the primary objective and how it should happen. Today, if you look at the human being, while there's so much of technology development and whatever small gadget we are carrying in our hand, this gadget has inbuilt so much of technology in that we are told that even before we realize what hormonal changes are taking place in us, this gadget is able to do, and not only do that, but also manipulate us. But then, if you look at this land, how the original education system existed, it has adapted itself right from the early days. If you look at Gurukul or Pathshala system, at a time when there was no external way of recording information, what was the method by which people adopted and trained individuals to deal with their lives? You can imagine at that time, the best memory that could be there is your own memory, and at a very early stage, highly concise, recorded or encrypted information is made to be present inside you, and throughout your life, 24/7, you don't have to go to a library or wait for something else. That is available to you, accessible to you. And that was the way it was done. But then, humanity is always on the move. It is exploring. Today we are looking to explore beyond Earth, go to the other parts of the universe. And this is an eternal journey of exploration. And in this exploration, every individual, when he or she is born into this world, comes with a sort of a control system, a set of sensory organs, actuators, and a set of memory, a memory which that system, that life form itself develops and records, and another memory probably it gets from the birth process. But today, if we are able to bring out to the child or to the children that they have so many of these capabilities, it is this, if they develop and then enable themselves to grow further, they will be able to deal with any situation in life. I would like to just give a couple of examples and complete my talk today. See, today, one of the other occasions, I met a 13-year-old girl who has already conquered 5 of the topmost points on earth. And by the time she becomes 15, she has promised herself that she will climb the Mount Everest also. And in a similar manner, if you see, there is a born blind person who is able to do a 10-digit by 10-digit addition, multiplication, subtraction, division. You just ask him the question, he will answer immediately. You are all also very, very familiar with Swami Vivekananda's great ability to remember things. In all this, and today if you want to become a 100-meter runner, you have to practice and prepare yourself. Knowing alone is not sufficient. So it is here that we need to make sure that both the educators and the next generation are not only brought to the awareness of the external changes in the situation, but more than that, how what they carry inside them can help them live the life for the benefit of the humanity. Today, I really appreciate the kind of effort that is being done both in conducting this festival on a regular basis, but more than that, this book, Creating Extraordinary Educators, which is actually trying to bring out a new way of informing how the next generation teachers have to deal with, particularly today, as you are all familiar, ChatGPT and other things, how it is changing. But maybe it's here worth remembering that what you find in the external world of technology is only the human ability to mimic what is seen in the nature. Today you can see nothing that has been created in this world, the concept of which does not exist in nature. If that is the case, what we need to do is, we need to make sure that we prepare the next generation to make their observations, to analyze, and then build things where we not only provide a safe, sustainable life on planet Earth, but also explore this universe, and which for a long time people of this land have been doing by inwardly exploring things rather than externally exploring. But then science and technology shows us that what is happening is the way to go about. Nobody can stop the ever-increasing impact of technology, but we need to appreciate how this technology can be used for not only the individual benefit, but for the entire humanity's benefit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. No gathering related to education is complete without Dr. K.P. Gopalakrishna, founder and chairman of National Public School, National Academy for Learning, and the International School, Bangalore. Please join us in inviting our next guest to address the gathering.
Good morning to everyone. Our chief guest, Honorable Minister, and the dignitaries. I could speak to you as a teacher, a senior teacher, and my experiences. And Ministry has given an insight into the development of technological developments in India, what is happening since 2014. We all have this knowledge, but he has elaborated the achievements. And he being an IT minister of the present government, they are trying to do a lot of things. But what about, I have a question. Even this book, Creating Extraordinary Educators. Educators means who are educators? That's my question. The teachers are the educators. But in India, the educators, the teachers, what is their status today? We are not attracting good talents, and teaching as a profession, we are not able to attract the good talents. Why? That's a question I ask everybody. And the status of the teachers in the society in India is extremely far below compared to other developed countries' teachers, even compared to our IT sector. Why it is happening? If there is any way to attract our youngsters to take up the profession of teachers and make it teaching as a profession, that is not happening. What is the, even after 20 years, 30 years, what is the economic benefits that teachers in India we are getting? And today the teachers are there. Those who have failed all other fields, taking up a job, they are coming as teachers. How do you expect to improve this situation in India? This is a question mark I ask everybody. And we have the national body, the new education policy, all there. We find there is no points where how to improve the school education. Once the school education is strongly built, the country's character will definitely change because of the youngsters. They must get the good values, ethical practices, knowledge, all these things, but that is absent. Other point I want to project or to bring it to the especially notice of our minister. Two things. What about the rural India and metro cities? Even today our rural India is far, far below the metro cities. Why it is happening? And 70-75% of our India is rural India. Of course, fortunate people from the rural India, those who are able to get some education, they come to cities or go abroad. But by and large, it is not happening. We are not getting or attracting the youngsters as teachers. What is to be done? This is a question mark. Even education, the CBSE, the national body of Government of India, where we have CBSE institutions. CBSE has come out with autonomous schools way back in 82, 83, like the universities which are coming up, private universities, where they are changing the educational scenario in the senior level, but in the school education it's not happening. There are only 2 schools have autonomy, Pilani High School, BITS Pilani High School and NPS. We were able to manage, but we are struggling to get the best of the young people to teach the children. This is a very sad case in India. I don't have to talk much about other things. We are looking forward to have a good approach for our school education to improve and attract the good teachers, good youngsters. Instead of going to IT sector and other sectors, a good group of youngsters should come to the school education in this country. That is not happening, it must happen. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you, sir, for your words of wisdom. We now invite Dr. Sabita Ramamurthy to deliver the presidential address.
Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Dr. Kiran Kumar, Dr. A.P. Gopal Krishna, Shri Ramamurthy, Shri Jaydeep and Trista, all the educators, parents, faculty members. It's indeed been a beautiful session today. We have learnt a lot. We have understood and we do know that we are a young India. We have our dreams. We have our youth who have their dreams, and the government is looking forward to realize those dreams for the youngsters, for us to be a proud Indian citizen. As Dr. Kiran Kumar also said, we had a beautiful educational system in the ancient educational system, where we looked within ourselves, where the Gurukul system existed. We had a powerful education system before, and which we need now to look into, build that for the youngsters, so that each and every individual or every student will have a good life, a peaceful life, and be proud of the country that they live in, and be proud of being an Indian worldwide. I'm sure all these dreams will be achieved in the coming years for the students because of the effort. I think every individual, be it in the government, be it as just a normal citizen who's looking forward to it and they are contributing. I'm sure that effort will take us forward and give that dream to our youngsters. So I wish this function and the next panel discussion which is going to take place, I'm sure some findings also will come up, and I hope this conference or this festival will be carried on year in and year after, and the findings will be documented and I'm sure it should help a lot more of the educators who are existing in this field. And thank you for all of you being here. And
thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring words and your leadership. As we near the end of the inaugural ceremony, we would like to welcome on stage Shri K.R. Jayadeep, CEO of CMR Group of Institution, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we near the end of this inaugural event at the Fine Festival, it's my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of the Board of Governors. First and foremost, I'd like to extend our heartfelt thanks to our chief guest, Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Honorable Minister of State for Skill Development, Entrepreneurship and Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. Dr. A.S. Thank you. Dr. A.S. Kiran Kumar, former Chairman of ISRO, Chairperson of Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. Dr. K.P. Gopal Krishna, Founder and Chairman of National Public Schools, National Academy for Learning and the International School, Bangalore. I would also like to express our deepest gratitude to our panelists, Mr. Akshay Saxena, the CEO and co-founder of Avanti Fellows, Dr. Bindu Hari, Director of TISB and Vice Chairperson of the NPS chain of schools, Mr. Mekin Maheshwari, Founder and CEO of Udyam Learning Foundation, Mr. Aziz Gupta, co-founder of Rocket Learning, and we look forward to their ideas and insights in the upcoming panel discussion. Our heartfelt thanks to our advisory body of Ekya Nava Schools. Our heartfelt thanks to all our special guests, partners, and press. Your support has been instrumental in making this successful. A special thanks to all the extraordinary educators, students, and participants whose contributions have been the heart and soul of this festival. Finally, I want to thank the audience for your participation. Your presence has added immense value to this event. And as we conclude this chapter of the Fine Festival, we look forward to continuing our journey of exploration, innovation, and inspiration. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this incredible day.
I request everyone to please rise for the national anthem. Check.
शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
We request all of you to be seated. Next is a thought-provoking panel discussion titled Go Beyond, Redefining the Status Quo in Education. Our panel of experts will delve into inspiring talks that challenge the norms and redefine the future of education.
Check. 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 Check.
We request all of you to be seated. We will begin the panel discussion in the next 5 minutes. request all of you to settle down and to switch your phones on silent mode. Good morning, everyone. Request all of you to be seated. Reminder to keep your phones on silent mode. Since morning, we've been speaking about going beyond. Let's take a few minutes to look at people who go beyond every day in the classroom, our teachers.
Okay, ma'am, do you know what this is? This is a surprise for you.
Okay. Okay, I think I'm already emotional. I didn't expect this.
Hello, my name is Sanika and I study in grade 5.
Hi, I'm Anarka Arun from grade 5C of Ekya BTM.
Hi, I'm Prisha from grade 9A and I study in Ekya JPM.
Dear Sarah ma'am, thank you for being the best social science teacher ever. You sparked my interest in this subject. You teach very well, so much so that I wait for social science class every single day.
Dear Kavita ma'am, here's this little something I've written for you. Thank you for your unwavering guidance and support all the way from grade 1 till today. You helped us adapt and fall in love with this amazing school. You took us from the lost city of the Harappans to the vivid Aztecs. You gave us more than a student could have ever asked from a teacher.
Dear Shweta ma'am, from simple corrections to guidance for speeches, every one of your inputs have been the utmost helpful to my life.
You motivated me and gave me the courage to dance for our class assembly. I remember while I was practicing for the dance, everyone was sort of teasing me. However, you motivated me and also gave me the courage to continue. Yes, I know my dance in the end was not the best, but if it were not for you, I may have not had the courage to dance and may have left midway.
Thank you for walking into class with a beautiful radiant smile every morning. Thank you for reading every word of our essays and giving each of us helpful feedback.
Today, I can truthfully say that you are one of those marvelous teachers at Ekya who have done far more for me than just open the door to knowledge. You have led me through it.
I remember that you even spoke about gender equality. And it was a small sentence, but it empowered me and made me feel confident. You're also very kind, empathetic, and understanding. Thank you for being you.
Thank you for noticing when I'm upset and cheering me up. Thank you for making me realize that life's a wave, full of ups and downs. But getting worked up because of every small problem won't give me the solution.
In retrospect, I really believe I wouldn't have become the person I am today without teachers like you. You have given me the confidence to not be afraid of what people think and sing my heart out.
Every pointer and every casual conversation that takes place in class that seems to lighten up the mood at the end of the day. Looking forward to more English classes next year with you. Yours faithfully, Prashana.
Thank you for telling me I'm good just the way I am. And thank you, ma'am, for being a part of shaping me into the person I am now. I have a long way to go and will meet several new teachers in the future. But when someone asks me about the best thing that happened to me in 8th grade, I'll remember you.
Thank you so much, Ananya. It was really heart-touching. I really want to help you.
I saw you as more than a teacher. I saw you as a friend I could talk to. You taught us through thick and thin, online and offline. For that, we love you. You've always lended a helping hand to guide us. You'll forever remain in our hearts as the best teacher ever. Once again, thank you for all you've done.
It was a pleasure teaching you. Thank you, Mama.
Your class was the most fun.
Thank you. I'm speechless. No words. No words. And this means a lot.
I'm at a loss. It's been a pleasure teaching you, and you don't talk much in class, but I know that you are listening. So thank you so much. I cannot tell you how touched I am.
So I still remember you as a birthday girl, small birthday girl, who came and gave me those chocolates. What you give comes back to you. So you give love, it comes back to you. I feel when they interact with them, they are more like, I am more like one among them. I also go to their level, and I also feel young at heart. So there's a secret of teaching the children too.
Being ourselves as a teacher and wearing a mask in a class is not being a teacher. The best thing what you can do is to handhold a child across through their lives. And I would say teachers are role models, but what we portray across and what they carry ahead to their homes, and that impression is very important. It's really emotional, like with this letter. Means never did I feel that Ananya would be so, she's been watching me and she's put it across so well. Means it's touched me, really. Thank you.
That video truly touched our hearts. It's incredible to witness the deep appreciation of our students in their teachers. Next is the panel discussion. We will now begin with, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Akshay Saxena, co-CEO and co-founder of Avanti Fellows, India's largest non-profit initiative that was set up to increase the representation of low-income students in elite science and technology undergraduate courses, including the IITs. I would like to invite Akshay Saxena, our mentor, who will lead the discussion. Now it's time to meet our panelists who will guide us through this discussion. We have Dr. Bindu Hari, Director of the International School Bangalore and the Vice Chairperson of National Public Schools. She has over 30 years of experience in setting up the developing educational institutions with stringent quality standards, driving strategic initiatives through collaborative processes and distributed leadership, and building leadership teams. Welcome, ma'am. We are thrilled to have you here with us. We have with us Mekan Maheshwari, the founder and CEO of Udyam Learning Foundation, who works on developing entrepreneurial mindsets amongst youth from various backgrounds. He previously worked as head of engineering and chief people officer at Flipkart. McCann is also the co-founder of Game and Act Grants. McCann is equally passionate about learning, human potential, and technology. Welcome, McCann. It is great to have you here. Finally, we have with us Aziz Gupta, social entrepreneur and co-founder of Rocket Learning, an edtech non-profit impacting 1 million low-income children in India. He also serves on the Indian government's Early Childhood Care and Education Task Force and on UNICEF's Working Group for Foundational Learning. Welcome, Aziz. It's wonderful to have you here with us. I'll now request Akshay Saxena to lead the discussion.
Really great to be here amongst friends and people I've admired for a long time. And also I think on this occasion where we are talking a little bit about the potential of what education could be, as opposed to what I think a lot of us spend time doing, which is what are the problems with it now. So maybe, Dr. Bindu, I can start with you, right? I think we're at and like the Honorable Minister also mentioned, at a pretty significant inflection point in the country's history, but I think also in terms of how we are thinking about education policy, curriculum, and how we want our kids to learn. So out of the lot of us, you're the only one who actually runs schools. So maybe a good place to start would be, even for the schools that you run, right? How are you thinking about how curriculum changes and how young people learn in the new framework?
Well, good morning, everyone. It's lovely to be here. It could be a very long answer to a short question, but I'll try and keep it as brief as possible. I think NEP 2020 was timely, and all of the teachers here, I'm sure, have seen NCF 2023, the National Curriculum Framework, to support NEP. I think it's a true vision for India that the document itself presents. Very visionary, very, very futuristic, very transformative, absolutely brilliant. It talks about building skills in students that will carry them long into the future, essentially embedded in lifelong learning in terms of the skills and competences that the students must develop in the 15 years that they are with us. Whether it's communication, creative thinking, critical thinking, compassionate thinking, embedding values. India, I know there was a lot of talk about technology today, about design thinking, creativity, all required for our children today. It also focuses on building language skills. India is the most pluralistic country in the world, with the greatest diversity. And if we have to move together forward as a nation, language is important. And so there's been a huge focus on learning languages, which won't make our students too happy, but is a requirement as far as NEP is concerned. But also huge focus on instilling values, compassion, kindness, tolerance, particularly in our students, in our country. Also very, very, very important, extremely valuable. So it's a very broad-based document. I think it's extremely exciting for teachers to deliver, for students to deliver. The key challenge is in teacher training. The students will adapt very quickly. Anything you present to them, they will absorb. They just love it, they take to it. I mean, we saw some of the kids today outside, downstairs. We watched some of them on screen, and they're absolutely wonderful in that. And however, I think the challenge is curriculum, resources, infrastructure, teachers, teacher training, developing more trainers to train teachers, which for continuing professional development, which is almost non-existent today. And I think therein lies our challenges. Wonderful to have that document, wonderful to have a national curriculum framework, but will we be able to deliver with that degree of efficiency, effectiveness in order to do well for our students is a big question.
Just building on that, Mekin, you've spent now several years of your life trying to focus on one specific area, right? One specific mindset. And I think a good question to maybe start off with is, if you think of like a utopian vision, right, where kids actually had an entrepreneurial mindset, what would that lead to, right? So how would they learn with that mindset, and how would it be different from how they learn today?
Okay. Thank you for the question. So just to share a little bit about what we have meant as Udyam. So Udyam, the organization I started about 7 years back, Udyam stands for enterprising. Right? It's Udyamita, or being entrepreneurial. For us internally, being entrepreneurial has meant a way of looking at life that captures these 4 core mindsets. Starts with being independent, being able to think for yourself, right? Being experimental, being okay with failure, and learning from failures and being able to bounce back. Grit and hard work. Nothing worth doing is easy. And finally, self-awareness. It was great to hear Dr. Kiran talk about like the purpose of education being about knowing yourself. So those are the 4 mindsets that we've tried working on. And I think the visual of what happens if you have a class full, a school full, a nation full of entrepreneurial young people. The visual in my mind is you have a lot of chaos. You have a lot of frenetic energy. You don't have a lot of order, but you have a lot of passion and creativity. You have a lot of happy kids because they are doing what they best enjoy, what they are pursuing things that they really, really like. And they are able to co-create and collaborate to make each other's visions come true. So that's the visual that flashes in front of my mind. I feel I'm a big believer in both human potential and humanity, that if we allow people to maximize their agency, right, that if people get to do what they want to do versus what they have to do, you will have a world which is rich with creativity, with arts, with with beauty and joy. And that's the visual that I am working backwards from. How do we get there or how long does it take is a life challenge.
So Aziz, maybe a good place to bring you in, right? So how early does this start, right? So I think a lot of Mekin's work, my work, Dr. Bindu starts as early as you. But how early does it start? And I think maybe to just pick up on the thread of agency, right? Where I think we've spoken about the agency of students, we've spoken about the mindsets for children, and what has to change for parents, right? Because that's a lot of what you work on.
Yeah, absolutely. And my organization works with 3 to 8-year-olds, so it's quite a young age, and you often imagine what agency people will get at that point. I love the conversation so far because we've talked about teachers and their role, and Mekin and Dr. Bindu talked about that, and Mekin talked about how the vision of what children should be, how they should interact, what their characteristics should be. But I think to make that possible, also of course, I think it has to start very early on in children's lives, because if you try to instill a different paradigm of model of creativity, entrepreneurship, later it will obviously have a lot of effect, but if you start it early on, even more so. But I think the expectations of parents and caregivers is equally important as any of these other factors, because again, you have the NEP, but to make it a breathing, living document on the ground, then parents have to really buy into it, right? And society has to buy into it in terms of what their expectations from children are. So for example, we work with 3 to 8-year-olds, and when we go to parents and we say, what do your children know? Then the most common thing is say, he can recite from 1 to 50. And then they ask the kid to recite to 1 to 50, or they say ABCD, and you do ABCD, and ABCD, EFG, and you get to Z, and you do 1 to 50, or 1 to 3, and do that. and even if I just look at the core academic aspect of it, even leaving aside for a second social emotional skills and others, often the kid may not, if given 5 things in front of them, may not be able to say these are 5 things, but they may be able to say 1 to 50. Right? So I think parental expectations on what children are supposed to know, how they should know that, beyond like very specific academic markers, and often not even the right academic markers is there. But secondly, play-based learning, activity-based learning is supposed to start early. In fact, the good thing is the NEP and others actually talk about it starting at that age. And even many parents, we say that, look, this is time for them to play. Khelne koodne ke din hai, something we hear a lot in Hindi-speaking states. But their metrics, when they try to look at the kid and try to show off the kid, are very different metrics. Right? And I think that's the important thing, that from the beginning, you're encouraged to do that. And I think that's a battle actually fairly, that you can win if the conversation is around that, right? If maybe politicians and teachers, administrators talk about those things, that will be good. And then, of course, as they grow older and they enter high school, again, you have similar metrics. And I think then assessments need to flow there as well. And we have Pranav here who's worked on assessments for a long time. And I think, in addition to making academic assessments great, I think also can you, maybe it's not formal assessments, but how do you get parents to realize that the child has more grit? That a child is able to speak up more, is more confident, is able to break up tasks and do those. I think those are frontiers that we have to get to.
So maybe just to ask a follow-on question, right? So then, does the conversation around foundational literacy and numeracy need to change, right? Because no one spoke about, even before us, spoke about can they do calculus, right? Clearly the interpretation of that document has turned into very much the mindset of the child, the mindset of parents, what skills the child has, right? So are we getting to the point where we need to start thinking more about how to assess who the child is versus what the child knows? And at the age that you work, how would you imagine that changing?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think we're guilty ourselves of not doing that enough, right? Even we in our assessments are testing, do they know different colors, etc., etc. Do they put things in the right patterns, which are all important, parameters for FLN and other things later. But yeah, things like, if there's a stranger that comes in front of somebody, can they talk to the stranger? Even things like that. And one of the big examples that I often try to give in well-functioning programs is that if somebody comes from outside and even maybe a foreigner and starts talking to a kid, are they confident enough to be able to talk to them, right? So I think some of those things are critical. And I think this also has impacts on the learning gains as well. One of the mistakes we made early on is that we made learning content extremely academic and rote-based. We send simple videos to kids and parents, and we tell parents to do those with the kids. And kids were really bored, and they stopped doing it, and then caregivers stopped doing it. And imagine for teachers, it's the same thing. If the kids are resisting you actively, then that's a problem. But if you have activity-based, play-based sort of techniques, and kids are actually enjoying, not only will they pick up these other skills together, but they will also pick up the more academic skills that we want them to do.
I think a good segue for Mekin, maybe to talk a little bit about what you did with the Business Blasters Challenge and other such things, right? Because I think not only does what we are teaching to change, I think it's how we are teaching or how we are facilitating learning happens. So maybe Mekin, you can talk about Business Blasters, and Dr. Bindu, maybe a good segue to think about in the school setting, like the pedagogical format, how is it shifting, right, now that you're trying to change the curriculum?
Yeah, just a comment on the what we could choose to measure, right? And education is a system that's run backwards from what we decide to measure, what 10th and 12th board exams are, end up determining what the rest of the education system looks like, right? And I think you talked about, we focus a lot on what we know, right? And we end up measuring what we know. I'm actually happy to see the focus in NCF, National Curriculum Framework, on competence, right? Which is alluding to or getting us to what can you do, right? What can an 18-year-old do? And I feel like that ability of being able to do requires elements of not just knowing, but also things like courage, confidence, values that have been talked about, etc. Right? So not just because we can't measure some of these things, I feel them getting ignored because we've designed a system that focuses a lot on what can be measured. So just a quick segue on maybe thinking about, and I keep bugging Sridhar about building assessment systems that can measure what can be done, and how independent, how gritty, how experimental kids are, or how self-aware kids are. So just a quick snapshot of what we've been able to enable a little bit with a few governments. Delhi has taken the lead in both trying a lot and hence being able to succeed quite a bit in what kids have been able to do. So in 2018 December, I got 4 WhatsApp messages saying, hey, how do you teach entrepreneurship in schools? And I was like, okay, we don't teach entrepreneurship in schools, but I am happy to engage and discuss what we do. But what we are trying to do is build entrepreneurial mindsets. We don't teach profits, we don't teach valuation, we don't teach raising money from VCs. What we try and teach is independence, experimentation, great self-awareness, and we are happy to discuss. And by 2019, we had worked together with the Delhi government. So all 4 of those messages were from people working in the Delhi government. And by 2019, we had launched what's called the Entrepreneurship Mindset Curriculum, which is the first period every day in grades 9th to 12th, right? Which is serious amount of investment from an education system to focus on building these kind of mindsets. I think it had multiple other aspects, but the coolest and the most fun aspect that I have been part of helping create is this idea of, which the government calls business blasters. It's every 11th and 12th standard kid getting 2,000 rupees each to go do something that they want to do. Go build a project, go build a business, go do a social endeavor that you are excited about doing, but with your agency, with what you as a child want to do, either alone or in groups of 1 to 10. Right? Come up with something, come up with your own idea and create. Right? This has been happening now for the last 3 years. So every year government's given out about 50 to 60 crores each to these kids. And I think while there are success stories of what happens, like kids doing really, really well, one of them getting into Shark Tank, some of them have gotten funded, all of that good stuff happens. But I feel I get joy out of the 3 lakh kids doing for that 2 months, right? That 2 months, what happens inside schools, the amount of activity, the amount of experimentation and doing, the amount of ownership and responsibility that parents tell us, these kids are waking up at 4 o'clock. मतलब exam के लिए उठाना पड़ता था, लेकिन अभी project कर रहे हैं, तो they are waking up at 4 a.m. and working and doing stuff. I'll give you examples of what starts to happen. And this is, so I think the example I love the most for the last 6 months since I got to know of it is a 9th standard child in rural Andhra Pradesh created a snake detector system. Right? That's not a problem you and I would think of. Right? Most of us don't think of snake detection. But if you imagine rural Andhra Pradesh, you imagine farmlands, you imagine people losing life because of snake bites, which by the way is, when I looked up the stats, it's significant. You can get into the thinking of what this child was going through, that I want to build this. And for them to actually create that system, right? So a motion detection based system that's able to reasonably predict that, hey, there is a snake in the vicinity and create an alarm. For a 9th standard child to do that, I feel is the sign of what's possible. So what can a child do, right? When they have these mindsets and this avenue for like, hey, go problem solve. What do you want to problem solve? So I feel if we ask kids and basically take the lid off them, that, oh, what do you want to do? What problems trouble you? What are things that you find exciting? I feel what we will learn back from them, right, is like this snake detection system. We will see the world from their lens. We will see as in how they want the world to be, and I feel like that can be beautiful.
Dr. Bindu, in the context of the schools, and you run some of the best schools in the country, right? So how is it shifting? Like you mentioned a little bit about teacher education, how do you get them to adapt, right? So even in the schools that are long-standing, stable, teachers have great investments made in them. Like, are we being able to shift teacher mindsets in terms of how to motivate kids and teach in different ways, or do you still see major challenges, and where do you see hope?
Yeah, so we've run a few projects with our teachers over the years, including an entrepreneurship for 11-year-olds. and very fascinating because it's not teacher-driven, it's student-driven. The students have to make a pitch to their parents to raise their money. They're not given money for free. And I can tell you that when they make their pitch based on their product, what their calculation was for the product, what the profit was that they added on to it, so on and so forth, the audience of parents grills them like anything, right? And these are 11-year-olds, and it's almost like we want to support them. But anyway, we've had these projects that have been going for a while, including 9-year-olds writing novels based on their experiences and their, fiction related. What we've always found is the excitement of the children when they're doing anything that's non-text related, non-book related, classically is what they enjoy the most, right? So the challenge for teachers is really to turn what is in their textbook, which may not be as exciting, into something that's more activity-based. It's, learning by doing, so on and so forth. Make it as exciting as possible for the children through collaboration, through creative exercises, working with their hands, so on and so forth. And I think you mentioned a sense of agency. So when we move into those forms of learning, what we've discovered is that self-efficacy increases. Very close to the term agency. On Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we talk about self-actualization. But the fact that a child begins to feel, I can do this. I can do it on my own. I can do this with my group of friends. It's a challenge that they've never really seen before, but they've got to figure it out through research, through working together, treating it as a project, so on and so forth. And building that into a school curriculum, making sure that sense of agency or self-efficacy develops is extremely critical for teachers to do. It is a huge challenge because teachers have been educated in a more rote-based system. It's not their fault. And this has gone on for decades. And to make that transition into what NEP requires is a challenge without doubt, right? So NEP will say, ideally, you should have 50 hours of training for teachers in a year. 50 hours is quite a lot. And therefore, every school has to work on building these training modules into the structure of the school. So it happens probably 7 or 8 times in a year because research has shown that you can't have training just beginning and end of the year, and it has to happen periodically in order to embed that learning. Those trainers don't exist. Currently, we struggle to find trainers for CPD, continuing professional development. One has to create our own. The quality of teachers coming out as far as after their B.Ed, initially B.Ed was a 1-year course. They made it a 2-year course in order to raise quality, but we are not seeing any improvement in the quality of teachers. And therefore, we've started our own training academy for teachers. We're also finding that there's a category of mostly women who around 30, 35 years of age decide that they cannot balance work and their home because they have children and are ready to change careers. So we've started drawing second career teachers into our training center, training them and then feeding the schools around us. They're intelligent, they're capable, it's very fascinating. If you look at the profile, you'll find engineers, architects, a doctor, dentist. Very, very fascinating. But they're intelligent, they come in after training, they spend a year in the schools, they're on internships as well, and they're ready to continue their profession in the school. So one has to constantly think of lateral and different pathways to bring people back into teaching. The worry that I have going forward is with NEP, there is a decision to have a 4-year course for teachers, which means by the time a young person is 18, has to decide she's going to be or he's going to be a teacher. It's a 4-year course, like a BSc Ed or a BA Ed, which combines content plus pedagogy. And then they come into the schools. At 18, there are very few young people who really want to be teachers. When I have graduation and I talk to students, 120 students in the audience, how many of you want to be a teacher? You'll be really lucky if one hand goes up. You can try it with the audience of students today. The younger ones, everybody wants to be a teacher, 6 years, 7 years of age. By the time they're 18, that dream has vanished. And the more they see people like you, the three of them sitting here, they won't want to be teachers. They all want to have their own startup, become entrepreneurs, which is lovely. It's great for the country, right? We love that, we want that. And yet we want to continue to attract the best into teaching. Right? So I think every single, my view, if this country has to really grow and develop, 5 trillion economy by 2027, and if we want to grow further from that, we definitely need to invest in our teachers. Essentially, that every single person in this room has to become a teacher at some point. Whether it's going to a local community center and teaching your driver's kids, your maid's kids, whoever it is, 2 hours of commitment to teaching in some way or form, whether it's English language, whether it's technology, whether it's learning software on a computer, every single Indian has to get involved with teaching in some form to make that happen. So those are the thoughts that I share with you.
So even last question, I don't know, I think we're close to the end of the time we have, but I think Dr. Bindu brings up this point, right, of collective action, right? And I'll pick up Mekin's point of chaotic collective action. So I think especially coming out of COVID, I think many of us experienced this happen, right? So we saw WhatsApp groups get formed, especially in the government systems and even in the private systems. We suddenly had all these millions of kids who've been thrown onto WhatsApp. It's actually their parents, not the kids, in most cases. And then the way that learning evolved was very, very chaotic, right? Kind of chaotic, people jumping in. But it does seem from most of what we've discussed, right, that that's closer to the future than we think it is, right? So if you want multiple people facilitating learning, different kinds of people being teachers, kids teaching each other, kids taking more agency. So as we think of scaling this, and I think it's a good point you brought up, right? So one point, starting with Dr. Bindu's point of saying we need more teachers and we need more diverse teachers and it should be easier to teach. Maybe Aziz, you want to start by saying, like you got to 0 to like 1 million learners in how many years? Like
3 years.
In 3 years, right? So partly by design, I think partly environmental and timing and this chaos that happens when communities come together, right? So maybe talk a little bit about that. And then Mekin and Dr. Bindu can give the closing comments. I think we're a little bit over time. So yeah.
Yeah. This is a big prompt, so I'll try to pick up some things of it. But yeah, I think I love the points about everyone sort of being involved in the learning, teaching process. And I think what we have felt is that, especially if you look at a national level and you look at low-income learners and teachers and contexts, technology is enabling this more and more. Today, and I think that's a big use of technology that's traditionally been overlooked in EdTech, right? Typically EdTech has been there's a computer, there's a child, and the child interacts with the computer or the phone, and that's about it. And it's not learning in a social context. I think what we've seen is that technology can be used to trigger communities of collective action for positive rather than for negative, right? There's a lot of discussion about how polarization is happening because people are on Facebook groups or WhatsApp groups where they hear from a particular political party, a particular type of ideology, and if you can bring them around a common purpose, and learning and teaching is that common purpose actually. So we actually create communities of both parents and teachers separately, where they're given some triggers of this is what you can do in a classroom or at a home, and they sort of share with each other what they did on a particular day. And we see that creates a lot more powerful motivation and cohesive action as opposed to trying to do a one-on-one with any of these categories. And so I think what technology has made possible is to reach the last mile in an effective way. You can't have people going and reaching every last village or urban slum in India, but you can have technology reaching them. You can also make it more experiential through that. Dr. Bindu mentioned that one-off trainings, teachings, etc., right, to make these sorts of teachers, whether it's formal teachers, informal teachers, is not that effective. And so can you create habits by sending information on a regular basis to these sorts of communities, right? So I'm just throwing up some ideas, but I think overall, organically, like the nature of learning teaching is definitely going to change. And if we can make it cohesive through sort of structured technological initiatives that can be anchored by schools and teachers. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that, people should only like learn on their own and there's vast amount of information which people get lost by. So you can have structured programs anchored by physical, trusted creatures, but, that allow people the flexibility to do what they would like.
Okay, as a parent, I think even if you are not an educator, you become an educator. You get taught more than you can teach. So resonate with Dr. Bindu's ideas on a lot more of us getting into teaching. But I also want to offer an alternative view to how do we change the profile of teaching in the country, right? And I want to offer examples from what's happened in some of the other ecosystems, right? So back in 1980s, from IITs, everybody would go abroad. Almost everybody would go abroad, right? You go forward from whether it's engineering, whether it's medicine, that's what happened. And we exported a lot of engineers and doctors. The good part was that these institutions were created wanting to be the best in the world, right? And trying to get to a point where, hey, these are institutes of eminence and they are creating the kind of talent that will be amongst the best in the world. I feel that today we do not at least have a notable institute of eminence in the field of teaching that's known as, hey, this is amongst the best institutes in the world for teaching in India. I feel like having that lighthouse can actually help a lot more institutions that try and do teacher education become like they have a role model institution. And I would actually encourage that this role model institution exports teachers, because as in the reality today continues to be that we, as in wages in India, are far more depressed than in developed countries. The reasons the engineers were moving or the doctors were moving or the nurses move are because the wages in UK or in Dubai are probably going to be 5 to 10x. And I think it's great for this talent to move because it starts to create a market shift, right? Because of an IIT, a lot more NITs, a lot more PSITs where I graduated from or VITs start to get born because that's the aspiration. To create the aspiration, you need world-class quality, right? So that's on one end, and I'll also offer a exactly opposite mindset and request to educators and teachers here, which is while we need this world-class and highly selective quality from a teaching point of view, inside the classroom and inside our schools have become places of selection. Our education system is described by Karthik Mullidhar, the guy who's probably done the most number of randomized controlled trials in education, as a selection system. The top 1% going out of the Indian education system do beautifully well globally, across fields, right? How do we shift that from being a selection system to being a developmental system, to being a system where every child is growing, is succeeding? And I feel like that starts from the classroom. That starts from the teacher not being okay with just 3 people raising their hands. The teacher not being okay with continuing to go on the syllabus train regardless of whether majority of the class is with them or not, right? And I feel if in that space, in the class, we are able to create an environment where we are seeking the gold in every child and we are able to encourage them and nurture them on pathways, I feel like that would probably change India.
Dr. Bindu, I'll let you conclude. So just your final reflections and thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's a lovely idea that you just expressed, the idea of creating the best possible teacher education center in the country. I think that's fantastic. NEP does talk about differentiation, does talk about assessment for learning, which hopefully will allow every single child in class to thrive, learn, and grow. We also need parental support in order to make that happen, right? The thought I'd share with parents is support the schools, support the teachers. There are many opportunities beyond engineering, medicine, and law, right? And I think we need to let our children explore those opportunities based on their skills and talents. As the minister said earlier, we are at the most exciting point in the history of the country. The opportunities are many, infinite opportunities. And it's for these children to take advantage of those opportunities, and let's have the trust and confidence in them that they will, right? I know there are there's the cap of the board exams, there's at least till grade 8, let's give them an opportunity to explore all of these various opportunities that are available to them.
Thank you everyone for being here.
We'd like to thank our audience. Your presence has made this discussion truly memorable. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, educators, students, parents, this brings to us to the end of the stage events of the Fine Festival. We invite you to explore Learning Showcase, Design Thinking Challenge on the ground floor. Here you can witness the incredible initiatives, innovative ideas, and the future learning put into practice. You can also witness ideas and the future learning put into practice. You can also witness the prize distribution to the Design Thinking Challenge. We also have the Solistic Book Fair, where you can purchase our book, Creating Extraordinary Educators. Do check out our different partner booths, Rethink Education, Azim Premji University, Trek Nomad, A Tree, and Think Tank. Thank you once again for being a part of this remarkable day. Have a wonderful weekend.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello.